Welcome to the first Skins Writers meeting of the year. For the next little while, I want our discussions to be as freewheeling and as open as we can possibly make them. There was a bit of an idea about a concept of how these characters organise. Was there? Is there an overarching kind of story project?
First series of Skins, we just ended up with this group of characters and they were all mates.
Mm.
And we thought, as we're all better at writing Skins now, we could go somewhere to complicate that by having a group of people who at the series, first of all, at the series start, are not friends. Some of them are, but they're not a big group yet. The whole process of Skins is, especially in the creation of characters and the creation of scripts and in the creation of storyline, very organic, lots of talking, lots of consultation with teenagers and comedians and young writers and other writers. We have a, not really complicated, but kind of quite unique way of structuring our writers' room. It's much more of an American novel. A load of writers sit in a room with varying abilities. Some of them will be writing scripts, some of them will just be there to talk, some of them will be comedians, some of them will be teenagers. It's just a kind of ragtag bunch of people who we hope will have opinions on what we're talking about. You know, we talked about the first episode being about how a disparate group of people comes together. But we we've got lots of people who dislike each other in this, and we don't want, because in Skins Series 1 it was kind of like a group, and then there was kind of turmoil within it. Thought we'd complicate that a little bit and make it a bit more ambitious.
So who owns these characters? Does anyone own them?
There's a couple of them that were kind of already sort of half thought up. So like Ben, Freddie. Some people had particular characters that they brought to the table. I had like Cook was mine. Lucy had like JJ. They just sort of, and some of them were completely built from the ground up. Like the twins were essentially, well, we thought of twins and then we built them, stood by a board and just wrote them up on the spot. With Cook, I wanted to be, possibly no chance of redemption to it.
Yeah.
He's like Tony Soprano, or
His problem is not that he's not empathic. Quite the contrary.
He's ridiculously empathic.
Yeah.
But he's ridiculous in every sense. He's an out of control person. Charming, not like Tony Charming, not like come on, but like kind of, but like exuberant. So like Cook, we knew he was going to be like kind of. I think the original document said something like he could shower you with affection or punch you in the face, which still kind of is relevant. But it also said that he was aristocratic. Originally he was kind of aristocratic, which obviously isn't true. Mainly because of the casting of Jack O'Connell, who's obviously from Derby, where there are no aristocrats. So yeah.
And really posh, right?
Posh, yeah.
And by huge, you mean?
It'd be good if he was a big guy, yeah. It's really exciting when you get the audition tapes back of the actor who's going to play that character reading your lines and doing it. So when I first saw Jack O'Connell reading Cook, I was like, yeah, that's him. And that's very exciting and. It's strange because Skins is one of the few shows you can do where every 2 years you take a character from start to finish. Literally, first meeting the character to the last time we meet the character. And that's a kind of joy that I don't think many shows provide for writers really, and audiences as well, I think, in that you get to see a character's entire narrative arc from start to finish.
You didn't help her at all. She's worse than she ever was.
Anyway, I'm hoping to be working with her regardless. There are some things I haven't tried.
Are you deaf? We don't want you. Stay the fuck away.
Indulge me a moment longer. I admit I was arrogant, stupid. I made mistakes.
Having heard it read out loud, I'm not sure how I feel. It's been a pretty intense few weeks. Pretty intensive writing, fast turnover of drafts. So I'm really, all I've thought about for the last 3 weeks is that script and how I think the actors will read it and how I think it'll go down and hoping it'll be okay. And I think it went well.
F7 is
strange story about therapy and recovery. It's a kind of spiritual successor to the episode I wrote in series 2 where Tony, the weird one with the university. So it's about recovery, and it's about that strange place you find yourself in when you're getting better. And it's about a fear that I always had, that you're not actually getting better, you're actually getting worse. You just don't realise it. I've had lots of therapy and lots of counselling and things like that, and they've generally been pretty good. But I was always scared that they would turn out to be John Foster, people who were in it only for their own gain. And their own sociopathic needs, which is when you're mad, you kind of project all this stuff on your counsellor. So he's just like a kind of worst case scenario.
It's perfectly understandable. I am something of a maverick.
You never helped her at all. She's worse than she ever was now.
I've been accused of writing all my scripts about me. All my scripts are about stuff that's going on in my head or relationships I had, and that's entirely true. But every script on Skins comes from a writer trying to work some shit out inside themselves. Every single one. Otherwise they don't work, because it's personal stories we're telling, stories that come from the heart, universal stories about teenagers, and the only place they can come from is inside the writers. A good writer, I always say this, but if you've got a bit of creativity, which is quite a difficult thing to quantify and quite a difficult thing to learn, I think it's one of those things that you sort of have or you sort of don't. I think most people have. If you've got a bit of creativity in you, you can be a writer. It just takes ball-breaking, bone-crushing hard work to do it, because creativity maybe you can't learn, but the technique and the skills and the structural thinking that has to go with coming up with a script for any television show or any book or any piece of writing you'd care to do takes practice, takes endless reading and watching of things like that. The kind of universal tip about writing is just write as much as possible. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you didn't, I'm sorry. I did my best, I really did. But I hope you like it, and I think you will.